I have the pleasure of introducing Karyn and Elaine. I know Karyn quite well. She was our faculty member in Coaching Supervision Academy. I want to say 5 or 6 years ago. I can't remember.
Yeah.
The first one in North America. And I had the pleasure of meeting Elaine as well at a conference. I think it must have been AOCS. I was trying to figure it out, but lovely energy these two ladies bring. Karyn is the Assistant Director for Learning at Coaching Supervision Academy, and Elaine is also Senior Faculty Member. They're both artists. They're both very creative and writers. Both are writers as well, and have a lot of respect for their work. Today they're going to introduce us to the 7C's of being fully human for supervision. And I also have the pleasure of letting you know that they will be running our half-day workshop at the Coaching Supervision Conference in Montreal, June, I guess you'll be on the 14th. The conference is 13th, 14th, as well as doing a post-conference all-day workshop in a park in the middle of downtown Montreal. So really looking forward to that. So I'm just going to let you go ahead and do it. You guys are all technologically savvy, and I'll be here to support you, Damien and I. If you need, just call out.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lily. And it's really fantastic to have people from so many different parts of the world. And welcome to you all. And bienvenue. And estou muito feliz de ver hoje o mundo do Brasil. So we've had everybody say their name, which is really great. We just want to give you a little sense of what the session is going to be like. We know the hour will go really quickly, and then I'll hand over to Elaine to give you a sort of sense of the story of the 7C's. We're going to show you a model that you might want to think about using for yourself. I think with all these things, one has to start with oneself, because who we are is how we work. So it's a model that you can use for yourself, you can use with your clients, you can use as a way to refine and define and refresh the offer that you make out there. So it has a practical application immediately, but it has also a value that you can take out and use in different creative ways with your clients and organizations or individually. So we're going to go through the 7 capacities which form the shape of a flower. So they appear as 7 petals of a flower. And we'll be stopping along the way for you to have a little time to reflect on what each one might mean to you. And then we'll have some time at the end to either go into small rooms to do a little what does this mean for me conversation, and then come back together for us to take any questions or things that you might be curious or wonder about, so we can help you not just get the value of it, which we hope will evolve over the course of this hour, but to get a sense of how this can be useful for you.
Thank you, Karyn, and hello everybody, and a very warm welcome to us. It feels very fitting because Karyn is phoning in from Normandy in France, her holiday retreat home, and I'm phoning in from the Lake District in northwest England with the beautiful mountains. Which is where the 7C's was born and created. And Karyn and I have been working on this for about 2 years now, and we've piloted a big hospital where we've been doing some peer supervision, and we've got some amazing research results that we can share at some stage also. So here we are up in the Lake District, and I was just walking one day, and as some of you may know, I was doing some research for my MA into reflection and reflective practice. And one of the big conclusions from my research was that reflection was all that we know about, that's written about around self-awareness and self-confidence and authenticity. But what I also discovered was that actually reflection is an act of creation. It's actually about creativity. It's about bringing the new into the world and also reshaping the old. So I was starting to play with Karyn because creativity is at the heart of our work. And just thinking, right, if creativity is an innate human quality that we have because we're human, and it's something that we all share, could there be other qualities that are also innate that we can bring into our work, which actually describes who we are as human beings, that actually helps us to bring alive the tools and the models and the techniques that we're all trained and developed in. So just to share with you, beautiful Lake District view, which is where it all came from. So what we've got here is the idea of the 7C's, the 7 capacities, and we'll go into that in detail in a moment. This is an invitation to us all, and we're all really experienced practitioners in our own fields, in our own worlds. But this is actually about getting beyond and behind our competencies and our capabilities and our tools and techniques, because more is needed from us in our VUCA world. And this is, as Karyn said, it's about really working and looking at ourselves as practitioners and working from the inside out, and helping us and encouraging us and inviting us to embrace our own humanity and our shared humanity, and to meet others at the level of our shared humanity. We were just in the check-in just starting to share a bit about where we were and who we were, and sharing a bit about the art, which was just beautiful. And it's actually from our connection as human beings around our shared humanity, around our shared vulnerability, where the true spirit of creativity and transformation lies. And so what we're looking at here is actually working with the 7C's in the field of our shared humanity. And the other thing that is really, really important here is that we have all of these 7C's. They're innate in us. They're human qualities. We're born with them. And so the 7C's, and the way that Karyn and I are positioning this, is really about saying this is an invitation for us to bring more of these qualities into our lives, into ourselves, into our work, and to role model this for our clients so they can bring more of themselves and their humanity into their work and to connect in a different way.
And really, it's a kind of counterpoint to all the other ways that we work. We are often working from a cognitive perspective, which is fine. Our models and tools come from that part of us. And we know that our clients come in often as walking heads in a cognitive thinking place only. And yet there's an awful lot of intelligence and knowing and knowledge that comes from different parts of how we communicate, from our heart and from our intuition. And sometimes that mirror can get clouded, and we need to polish it a little bit more, because the most beautiful instrument of learning and connection we have with other people, and when we work with them in whatever field we work in, is who we actually are. And so we are the best instrument that we have. And a lot about the work that we do is thinking about who we are when we're doing our work, so that we're looking at it in a little closer way, in a little refreshed way, in a little way, being fascinated by who is this person who's doing the work that we're doing in that moment, and how do those, if you like, refractions of light help us understand what is being illuminated in the questioning and the conversation that we have. And those, we know that you've all studied to be supervisors, either with the Coaching Supervision Academy or with Damien and Lily, and have come across the 7I model. So one of the big moves from coaching into supervision is really getting the hang of and understanding that perspective of the 6th I. 5, 6, and 7th I make all the difference. So this I6 is how we resource and support our own professional and personal development, so that we can keep that mirror clean and polished, so we know what's happening within us and who we are, because we are always changing. The client is always changing. As we know, in a VUCA world, of a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world, everything is constantly changing. So the more that we can shine that light on those different facets of how we are and shine up that mirror, then we can role model those capacities in us as we understand them for others. And also another point here would be that I know for some of you who are new in this role, or relatively new in the role of supervisors, how do we explain what we do to others, and also have the sense of our uniqueness in that offer, in that marketing of what we do? What's the differentiator? Because models are models, they're all the same. What makes the difference of how you connect for your future clients is also about, and fundamentally about, who you are. You are the differentiator in the services that you offer.
Thank you. So that's just a bit of background and context, and we can talk a lot more at different time. But that's just giving you a sort of bigger context and setting for the design of this. And so now we're going to invite you to immerse yourself in the 7C's and to actually try it on for size and have a go with a practical example from your work or from your life. And so the first thing we'd like you to do, please, if you've got a bit of paper in front of you, is actually draw 7 petals. Don't worry about the labelling or the colouring in or the numbers, but just draw the 7 petals, and we can give you the PDF for this after the call if you've not got it already. But
it doesn't matter if they're all not the same size. That's fine. Yeah.
So this is a self-assessment tool around how you're inviting and invoking the 7 capacities into the question that you're holding. So, each of the petals has a different energy. So what we're going to do is, as we're going through the 7 petals, at the end of a short explanation and some a space for you to reflect, we're actually going to ring one of our bells, our Indian bells, because we're trying to really share with you how each of them has a different flavour, a different energy and a different quality. So please bear with us, and please don't fall off your chair if it sounds loud or you're taken by surprise. So what we'd really love you to do now is just spend 30 seconds or so just bringing to mind, and no need to share this, a question that you're holding for yourself, whether it's a client issue, something around your practice, something around your work or your life at the moment. And as you're bringing this to mind, also bring it to your heart, to your body and to your soul. Really feel your way into your question. Get an image or a picture, some real sense. Really, really connect with this on a somatic level, a soulful level and a heart level.
Okay, well, we're going to start with the first petal. And the first petal is called care. And caring is at the heart of our humanity. Passion can be overrated and cannot always be sustained. So what and who and how we care defines us. It's an expression of our deeper purpose, our meaning, and our integrity in action. Caring, if you like, sets the compass for authentic and ethical practices, compassionate leadership, and even our professional practice as a whole. The work is relational, and trust has to be earned and not given. So this could actually be around how we express meaning and values. It can be how we are experienced by others as well. So we're going to give you a few moments to just reflect on a scale of 0 to 10, how full of care do you feel that you are right now in relation to the question that or issue that we asked you to get into mind before we started? How much or how do you care about this thing that you're thinking of?
So just breathing away from care and stepping into the next petal, which is curiosity. There's no particular order to these, but we're going with curiosity now. And again, it's the same process. So within the journal and workbook, we've given some definitions around curiosity, but make it your own and feel into how this might apply to the question you're currently exploring on the call. So as we all know, curiosity drives inquiry and questioning and learning. It puts us on our edge. It keeps us alert and open and receptive and alive and open to what we do not know or do not supersee in the supervision, what we might be blind to, what we're not hearing, possibly what we're not saying, and might what be happening in the space between us. The beauty of this is that, again, going back to our innate human qualities, that the human brain, we've been designed, evolution has designed us for learning, and the human brain loves questions in the right conditions. So it absolutely loves questions. So we're again playing to our innate human qualities. And curiosity also gives us a beginner's mindset. We start to drop away from all of the tools and techniques and our expertise and our accreditations and our badges of honour and our CV. And we're dropping back into the beginner's mindset, the learner, the child in us. And so the invitation with the curiosity petal is to test it now with the question you're holding. And on your petal from 0 to 10, how curious are you being? What's happening with you, with your question, with your client? We'll give you 2 minutes to reflect on that one before we move on to the next one.
And so we move on to the third petal, courage, coming from the French word cœur, meaning heart. Courage comes from the intelligence of the heart to be brave, to be bold, to be fearless for wise action. I'm reminded of the words of Albert Flynn de Silva, who says, "To be in the present moment is to be audacious." So our sense of being able to take action when we might have to be aware of our own vulnerabilities, our own fears, our own risks, but there's something else that enables us to move forward, to feel into the future, to have a test, to experiment and to try things out, to be comfortable to prototype something and to test out. So in relation to the question that you're holding right now, thinking about whether you need to be a little bolder or you are being audacious, taking a risk, where do you place yourself on that scale of 0 to 10 about the degree of courage you have, or perhaps the degree of courage you might need to have in relation to the question you're holding? What are you called to do? 2 minutes to reflect on that.
So from the red of courage, we move to the pink of compassion and self-compassion. Compassion, as you know, is the capacity to connect to ourselves, to others, and to our shared humanity with loving kindness. That's the key end to that sentence. It's with the loving kindness. So it's actually beyond empathy, it's beyond sympathy. It's the capacity to be with and to connect with others whilst also staying centered and connected and grounded to ourselves. This is a core capacity in ourselves, in our work, in our ability to be in the VUCA world and stay centered and true to ourselves. This is the capacity also to really embrace what it means to be fully human and to see the highs and lows of life, the vulnerabilities, the joys, the sadnesses, the births, the deaths, the illnesses, the whole array and canopy and rich tapestry of life which we encounter, we need to embrace, we need to hold, we need to witness. And so in our supervision, we're being invited into this witnessing place. And critically, and we often forget, that self-compassion is also the gift that we extend to ourselves as we extend the compassion to others. And this is the key part of keeping ourselves balanced and grounded, and is often the piece that we can forget. So compassion and self-compassion is really key to our ability to be with vulnerability, which is then our ability to open up and learn and to grow and develop. So the invitation to you all now is to, in relationship to the question that you're holding, where are you with your compassion around the question? And how is your self-compassion to yourself and to the other person that you might be holding in your mind?
So it's interesting if we move from compassion to connection, because the more we can tune into the degree of compassion or self-compassion and perhaps build upon it and grow it, it can't but touch on this next petal, which is the one called connection. Because connection enables us to see our underlying interrelatedness and interconnection in all life. We are all connected. And I think this is perhaps something the world is particularly crying out for now, because there seem to be many movements all over the world dividing up people rather than joining them together to a them and us, when we are all a we. There is only us and we in the world. So this aspect of connection is a really important one. And the more we can grow it, the more we can appreciate our own capacity to value and to see and understand and be with and alongside these interconnections with all living things, whether they're in the past in terms of appreciation and connection to the elders and our own myths and stories from our personal and wider families, cultural families, whether it's the current ones or what we're laying down in legacy for the connections of the future. And when we stop to think about how does this connection show up in the issue that you're bringing, we might find some interesting things. It can give us not just a bigger perspective and the sense of belonging in the wider sense, but also can make us think, well, I may be connected intellectually to the issue, but I'm disconnected to the people who are bringing it. Or I'm connected to the people, but I'm not seeing the impact of that connection in a wider sense. So I think this one can, not to the exclusion of the other petals, but really to be divided into several parts for us to take the time to reflect on how is this showing up in me, in my relationship with others, and in the bigger picture, which is directly related to the kind of work we do as supervisors. So again, we'll invite you on a scale of 1 to 10 to be thinking of the issue you're bringing now. And what does that word connection mean in relation to the issue you have now in front of you on a scale of 1 to 10? How connected are you to it, to yourself, to them, or the idea? And maybe they're all different.
And so the next petal we'd like to introduce you to is contemplation. The original word was reflection, but it didn't begin with a C. So contemplation we arrived at, and it's actually a beautiful word that we have lost certainly from the English language. So contemplation includes the process of reflection, but it's broader and it's wider. And contemplation is the invitation to turn away at spots during the day, around during the week, to turn away from the endless busyness, from mobile phones, from day-to-day living, from our projects, that all of the strategic mind loves to hang on to, where we actually end up losing ourselves in our to-do lists. And this is an invitation to come home to ourselves and ground ourselves in our ability to listen to ourselves and hear ourselves think, to actually really come home to the silence. And it's interesting that silence is also, turn the words around, it actually means listen. If you turn the words around, it spells listen. And this is about listening to ourselves, and this again works on so many multiple levels, but there's also that invitation to be with ourselves, to sit with issues, to stay open and not rush to close, and to move away from discomfort or vulnerability or lack of certainty, and to be with issues trusting that in time, when the time is right, that our own inner wisdom and our knowing will surface and will emerge. And the other part of it is actually being fully and mindfully present at the moment, in the moment. This is all about the relational presence around supervision. It's about paying attention to our quieter somatic intelligence, our body and the spirit and the heart that already knows the answer if we do but listen to it. So the contemplation petal here is an invitation for you to think about how contemplative and reflective are you being with the question you're holding or in relationship with your client. What's going on for you with this invitation?
And so we move to the seventh and final petal, which is creativity. An interesting separation, but connected to curiosity. I love the quote that Elaine shared with me some time ago, which was, "The creative act, the defeat of habit by originality, overcomes everything." The defeat of habit by originality. I love that. And I think sometimes we self-limit, or our clients self-limit by thinking creativity is purely the domain of the artist, the sculptor, the painter, or the gardener. But we're talking here from the beginning of this webinar about innate quality. So creativity is innate in us. It's the capacity we have to reshape the old, or start afresh, or create anew. You only got to watch a small child who doesn't stop to say, gee, I don't think I'm supposed to be doing this, or this isn't in my job spec, or what will people think? They are naturally, as we are, innately curious, which takes them to creating things. It's our capacity also to trust emergence, to be available to insight, to allow our inner wisdom, our intuition, to follow a potential trail that could lead to something that may not immediately seem viable, may seem in a way completely impossible. And there within there is the kernel of something we'd never thought before. So again, this is honoring both the past and breaking away from what we already know, just to try something new, see it from a new perspective, relate in a different way, apply learning in a different aspect. So it might be bringing in some playfulness, some letting go, to not thinking about the outcome, but just the joy of trying something in a playful, in the moment sense of it. So thinking about this in terms of the issue that you brought with you, how much creativity are you bringing to it? Is there a seed, potentially, of something that you had at the back of your mind and want to try out? Is there something that you'd like to grow from experimentation or playfulness? But in what sense do you have in this issue where creativity could be part of the insight you can get about the issue you've brought, or a road or a way of being that will help you with this particular issue you've brought? So on a scale of 1 to 10, how creative are you right now, or would this issue need you, like you to be, invite you to be? And perhaps adding in there, what conditions would you need to create for it to thrive? So we're going to invite you now to take 3 more minutes just to journal before we're going to divide you into chat rooms, just to capture anything that's come out of those very short 7-petal exercise. What's emerging for you as you look over, just in the very briefest moment, what's coming up from you from the 7 things that you've just been asked to think about? About 3 minutes just to do that.
Okay, so Lily, can we please ask you to put people into chat rooms for about 6 or 7 minutes before we come back together again? And thank you for following the process through, everybody. It's and bearing with us. We really appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, and the exercise in the chat room is
to reflect.
Yes.
Sorry, just reflect on what we learned.
Yes, without going into the particular details of what was being explored, how the approach felt, what was happening for each person, what did they like about it, what they didn't like about it, what more were they interested in.
Okay, so I'm going to put everyone into a chat room. You will get a little notice that says accept. You accept it, you go into your chat room, and in 6 minutes I will hit another button that says you'll be back in 1 minute, and we'll come back together. All right, have some fun.
Thank you, Lily.
Just trying to add here. 8:45, 8:51. We want them back. 8:52. Give them an extra minute. All right.
Well done, Lily. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to pause our recording now.
Because of technology will not occur because of technology, but because of an expanding concept of what it means to be human. So will not occur because of technology, but because of an expanding concept of what it means to be human.
Thank you very much, everybody, and for all your comments and what you've said. It's very heartening, and we're very, very pleased.
So thank you from me and Karyn.
Thank you very much. It was a
thank you.
great presentation. I had the opportunity to see you in action doing this session at the EMCC conference a couple of years ago. Wasn't it 2 or 3 years ago when you do this presentation? That was one of the highlights for me for the conference.
Thank you.
Thank you, Damien.
So Lily, do we want to briefly share what's coming up? So on November 19th, we have Michelle Lucas. So
I have her November 5th. What, are we mixed up?
November 5th. Yes.
November 5th I have in my calendar, Damien. Michelle Lucas on From Coach to Coaching Supervisor Mindset.
Mm.
I'm holding both dates, Lily, so if we can confirm which one with Michelle.
I will do that.
Yeah.
Although I just looked, but I will double check on that one. And then December 10th, Leanne Lowish, she's on the call here. There she is. Cultivating willingness to bear discomfort. Is that provocative or what? And we're also looking for suggestions for speakers for 2019. So if you have any ideas, send them to myself or Damien. Our website is up and running. Everything will be put on the website, the recordings, everything that people share, as well as our website for the Coaching Supervision Conference 2019, June 13th, 14th, is also open on Eventbrite, and that will be shared in our next communique out as well. Anything else I missed there, Damien?
No, I think that we are building the America's Supervision Network page. So I just put the link there so you can go and look a little bit what we have there. But we need your help. So this is a really great opportunity for everybody here to get visibility. So if you have blogs, if you have articles, if you have videos, if you have demos, we want to populate this resource for everybody in the world to have access to more information about coaching supervision. So we really need your help. So if you have demo sessions that the coaches are okay sharing, you have articles that have written, or if you have any blogs, anything that is about coaching supervision, we want to be sure that we have a space where people can find it. So, or the resource, we can link in this site to a resource that you want to share.
Yeah, and thanks, Damien. And just to mention that there was a notice about the Zoom. This is always the same Zoom link. So just keep it. It is on all the sheets, the information that goes out, but this is the Zoom link that we use. Thank you, Karyn and Elaine, one last time.
Thank you.
And we'll see you all the next session. I will confirm the date and I'll get back to you with an email.
Great. That's wonderful.
Thanks, everybody.
And Damien and everyone. Good to see familiar faces.
Bye.
Abraço, Karyn.
Abraço para ti também. Para vocês.
Bye bye.
Fabuloso. Fabuloso. Fabulous.
Vamos, Dominique.
Também.
Bye bye.
Bye.